Now we're seeing the GALAR fossils in Pokemon Amber,
Hello,
made by
everyone,
Fruity
and
Art. Link
welcome
the channel
to episode
description.
16.
Gotta make sure I
I'm
give
Gabe,
them
and
the
today
props,
we'll
of course.
be meeting the correctly restored Galar fossils as we
Now
battle
I
the
have
evil
been kind of
team leader.
spoiled by
But first,
what one of them
here's a
is,
quick
just
recap.
because
In the last
thumbnail.
episode, you made it to Rassi Junction and challenged Chris, the ground type.
Hey, but you know, if your thumbnail wasn't, if it didn't give you a little spoiler, you might not click on it. So it's all fine.
Invigorating Chris. It seems that Team Arc is held up in Creta Cliffs to the south, and a number of the researchers have decided to band together and oust them from the region.
Probably a good move, and it's good to see the gym leaders all teaming up to try to do it. I think they kind of did that in X and Y, the anime, to be specific, like everyone versus Team Flyer.
Heading towards Creta Cliff.
I don't know if they've done that like in the games before, just because it is the usual game thing of it's like, we have to take care of this evil organization. You, random 10-year-old, you go do it.
This route is
I propose that we let the 10-year-old do it. What?
Stalactile, Racnoon, Scargian, and the extremely rare Fossage. Team Arc grunts are scattered along the path. Here. You're able to sneak by some of them, but others catch you in a battle. It is quite difficult, but you are eventually able to make it all the way to the end of Route 8, where you find Professor Ginkgo waiting.
Oh, good. You made it. Everyone else is already inside their camp. Here.
Thank you for inviting me to the meeting.
Pokemon.
And again, I've been taking
This is
care
going
of
to
the
be a
team,
tough
so I
battle,
guess that's
but
why
we need
we're
to
in.
find the Team Arc leader and stop her. Are you ready?
Team Arc has a small camp at the edge of Creta Cliff. Their tents and trailers are all set up around a tall lighthouse. The other researchers are busy battling Team Arc grunts all around you, so you're able to slip past
them and their infinite identical twins,
to the base of the lighthouse where two
triplets,
grunts
whatever.
Stand guard.
I don't think about
Where
it.
do you think you're going? You think you can just see the boss?
Not a chance. We'll stop you and the nefarious research you're up to.
Come, my brothers
and
and sisters!
Into battle against their Nihilocene, Simirage, Plazaro, and Nanoboa. But you defeat them and continue
Dang,
up the
they got
lighthouse.
some second forms
Each
there too.
But
you're probably pretty far in the game at this point, so you're probably like level 30-ish, maybe late 20s.
To get all the way to the top. A huge collection of mysterious,
oh boy, more of those things.
Rocks are floating around the room. Psycad, the Team Arc leader, is surprised to see
the leader.
You and starts collecting the stones and putting them in their bag.
Another one of Ginkgo's lackeys trying to ruin my plans.
Except for Lusamine, I don't know if we've had any evil team leaders that were female.
Down? Kid, you have no idea.
Of course, it's
what
like Hunter J
I wish I had
stuff
time
like
to
that in the
explain,
anime,
but I need to get out of here
I don't know
before
about
Ginkgo destroys this whole place. Out of my way.
She throws out her first Pokemon, Asdazkite. You are able to take care of it pretty easily. Though next, she has a Troazult. It is extremely fast and quite challenging.
I'd imagine
but
so.
You managed to defeat it as well. Next, she uses another of the Galar fossils. Let us see what the water type will be. A lot of you could probably guess that the gargantuan armored fish Dunkleosteus would be the inspiration for this design.
Yeah.
I mean, just looking at the
I
existing
think the
Galar
base and the top of the blue,
that big old head is exactly
I forget the name
same.
of it, like the blue fossil Pokemon go together better, but only because of the same color, whereas the top and bottom of the yellow one just look terrible. It's like, yeah, this is obviously a mismatch.
The belly a bit, just to make it look a little goofier and friendlier. But yeah, not a ton to say about this. Other than I'm continuing to pull the shiny colors from the Galar fossil shinies, which they're fun. They're grayscale with little pops of color.
That's fun.
Okay, here is Dunklevish, the strong jaw Pokemon. This colossal fish Pokemon was recently revived completely in the Palean region. Dunklevish have heavy armor plates on their body that let them ignore most attacks. Though not particularly fast, they can cut through the hulls of ships with their powerful bite. And its jaw is right by our head. You check the bottom right. The power of biting moves.
Oh boy.
Dunklevish is a tank.
I'd imagine so.
More accurately, it is like a submarine, probably.
Yeah, but
it takes
I know what you mean.
Work to get through its defenses. All right, Next up, Psycad throws out the Dragon-type fossil.
Dragon.
We finally
Oh boy.
get to have a Stegosaurid in here.
Yay!
It is a little bit of a shame that the existing Galar rear of this design doesn't have a Thagomizer, which are the kind of iconic tail spikes.
Ah.
But the rest of it still reads like a Stegosaurid.
I imagine it might have in its like beta look or something like that, but that might have gotten cut or something. I don't know, honestly. Maybe they thought it wouldn't fit the design, in which case none of them fit the design. That's the joke.
Having the back row of plates. Oh, I also did something funny with the head, rounding it into something that's almost a ball. There's always been a thing with
this thing's face reminds me of Spike from
with
Land Before Time.
Tiny little walnut-sized brain, so I gave it a pea-shaped head since it's a pea brain. Honestly, this was more necessary just to keep the design from looking too much like just a cartoon Kentrosaurus.
Right.
Oh, and the shiny colors were super fun here because for some reason the dragon fossil's shiny is just super dark. Anyway, here is Drakento.
Ooh, that looks kind of cool. It actually kind of looks like, well, I was going to say a realistic dinosaur, but it would have had freaking feathers, so let's say a Jurassic Park dinosaur. How about that? And this is the Jurassic Park Pokemon fusion, so it makes sense.
Mindlessly eating all vegetation in front of them. They are very gentle, but aren't always aware of how dangerous their sharp plates and spikes can be. Its ability is own tempo,
I do like seeing all the fan artists just try to like correct the fossil Pokemon of Galar, like put them in their proper bodies.
Dragon typing is no match
that's
for
sort of like
and Psycad is forced to send out
I imagine
final Pokemon.
I imagine when they made those Pokemon in Galar, they had to have known that
really
people were going to do that.
A little tail and a couple flippers. There's a couple different directions I could have gone.
The fan art
with this,
community is amazing for Pokemon.
Maybe I will share with you the beta design, which was a horribly proportioned Mosasaurus. But after throwing that aside, I landed on something that would serve as the ancestor to Lapras.
Yep.
We're gonna tweak the ice and snow on its back. So
I think that's an awesome idea. Take the free evolution and be like, no, this thing's part Lapras.
And plop a little Laprasy horn on its head too. But to play up the more primal inspiration, we're pulling in the long exposed teeth of other plesiosaurs, which, also kind of works for the ice typing since they look a little bit like icicles.
I think this thing looks great.
The shiny gets a nice muted color palette. Here is Laparcto, the iceberg Pokemon.
I think it's a really cool idea to give them that, to give Lapras an ancestor by basing off the fossil Pokemon. That is awesome.
Laparcto are less willing to ferry people on its back, but once it trusts its trainer, they will gladly take them as far as they wish to go. Trainers are advised
to wear snow pants
as their ice shells make for a frigid trip.
Okay, so we gotta earn their trust with them. That's okay.
Ice body that restores some HP during hail.
You think Laparcto also had its own unique surf, like, sprite?
Before you're finally
actually, I think at this point they actually made it where it's like they all have their own unique sprites for surfing and stuff.
How could this be? You're just a lowly assistant.
They always gave you the whale mark circle thing, but like here. Now it's like, no, Lapras gets its own now. I like that.
Enough with your lies. This ends now.
Professor Ginkgo and Beth have arrived. Unfortunately, Psycad has healed her as Dazcad.
What?
And together they leap from the top of the lighthouse.
Darn you, revives and hyper potions.
No! We were so close. We'll find her. But nice work, kid. I didn't expect you to be able to go toe-to-toe with her. We're gonna clean up this Team Arc camp, but you should meet me back in Ordo Outpost at the Fighting Type Research Building.
You'll be ready to face us then.
I'm looking forward to seeing your battle skills firsthand.
Oh, nice.
With the Team Arc camp disbanded, you know that you could use your Pokéride signal to fly back to Ordo Outpost. But you do remember an unexplored route west of Tri-Town.
Oh.
That you now have the time to explore. And maybe Psycad was right. Maybe there's something important there for you to find.
Perhaps some new fairy types.
You have Lothian take you back, and we'll start in on Route 9
I love this art.
in the next episode.
Yay!
Thank you so much for watching, and please leave a like.
Really cool to
if you enjoyed
finish
the
off
video.
the fossil
always,
Pokemon of
I'd love
Galar
to
and
hear
see
your
all
thoughts
their
on
true
today's
forms and stuff
episode,
like that.
and
I'm always
especially
using
let me
that
know
stuff,
which of these
especially the
Galar fossils
Lapras
is your favorite.
fossil.
A big
Good
thank
to
you
know
to
where
Vanessa
that came from.
for being our Team Arc leader, along with Aaron and Beth. All right.
Grizzly
I'll
all
see
the
you in the
Zinglias
next
seem to try to
episode.
take down the Team
Bye.
Arc stuff. Yeah. I'm really liking Zingo and the Team Arc stuff. And yeah. She rocks that business suit, I gotta say. If it was mainline Pokemon, they'd probably have her in some dress or something. But it's like, no, it looks good on her. Then again, I don't. This. I think it's gonna be like. I forgot her name. Lusamine had a. She was kind of a business suit, but was also kind of dressy. I think it was mostly a dress, but you know, it was a business dress or a ball gown or something like that. I don't know the exact type, but still, you get the idea. So yeah, she rocks that outfit. I'll give her credit for that. And yeah, cool to see all the fossil Pokemon, and I won't go on for much longer. So let's go in the next part, point 5, now. And now we're adding some fairy types to the mix.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another
3-stage
bonus
fairy
episode.
types. Ooh,
I'm Gabe,
that's
and
cool.
today we're going to be designing some new
I don't
fairy
think
types.
fairy types
for
have
the
a lot
Paleon
of
region.
3 stages, to be fair. They got a
I
few,
asked for
I'm not going to
suggestions
deny
for
that. Like the
3-stage
troll
designs,
Pokemon
and
from
I
the
got
Galar region,
so many
which
ridiculously
I'm
good
honestly kind of a
suggestions.
fan of. It just gets
I was
bigger
so
and
overwhelmed
bigger.
that they aren't all going to fit into one video.
Naturally.
I'll be spreading the remaining designs out over
Technically,
a couple
Clefable
other
was
bonus
retconned
videos
into
to
being
come.
one.
There's a lot to
Gardevoir
get through,
was, so if you
let's
want
go
to count the
ahead and get
Pokemon that got
started.
retconned
There
into
are
3
3
stages, then
comments
yes,
that
they count,
really
but like,
helped
I
me
mean,
figure out
new
this
fairy
type
types.
line. First off,
Of course, I could be talking out my
Jim,
butt, so if
which,
I'm
by the
wrong,
way, he
correct
has
me.
his own Fakemon region that you should go and check out. I'll link
There's so
to it
many
below.
Fakemon regions.
Anyway, he basically challenged me to do something akin to the Clefairy, Wigglytuff, Togepi, and Chansey lines for our fairy type. You know, start out as something that's more of an
Adorable
amorphous ball of cuteness.
It's so fluffy
Yeah,
and
amorphous ball of cuteness. Let's
Togetic
start
being
there.
the final form for
Right off the
Togepi
bat,
for the longest
it's not
time,
gonna
just
be
like,
entirely
well, not the
without
longest time, it was
animal
only 2
inspiration,
gens, but still.
as you can see in my
It's like, I
reference
feel
images,
Togekiss was
we're gonna be
necessary just because
pulling from the
Togetic is kind of a weird
oh-so-lovable,
final form.
strange horse-like abomination that is
Abomination.
Chalicopherias. Now, of course, we're starting off as just a little round blob, so all it's going to get is the slightest little horse nose, a tuft of fluff that could be read as a mane, and ears. And even then, the ears could just as easily be rabbit ears or something. I was really struggling to keep this design simple. You know, landing on something that feels as though it's the same
I don't know
level
why,
of
but I see this
complexity
thing saying
as
Horsea,
the other baby
even though that's
Pokemon
completely
like
different
Clefairy or
Pokemon.
Rapini is really hard. You know, there's definitely a certain level of simplicity that is allowed with those designs since they're a part of the earlier generations.
Oh yeah,
So
in early gen, that
I mean, I
counts
kind
too.
of doubt that they would be received all that well if they were released today, but
Probably.
even though I
There's
failed
some
to get all
gen.
the way down to their level of simplicity, I ended up
You could not
being
get rid of
happy with
You could
how
not
this
get away with
design turned
Voltorb
out.
and Electrode
Definitely
nowadays.
more, you know, Clefairy than
Or
Cleffa, but still
Magnemite, stuff like
good.
that.
Especially since
Especially
the second
Magnemite, because
evolution would be
freaking.
pretty large.
I know certain someone would be pissed at
Honestly,
Clink, so
the
just
hardest
imagine we
part
just
was
had
just
like
getting
freaking
the
magnets.
colors
How do they
right.
work?
I mean, the Pokemon color palette usually isn't too tough to figure out, you know?
I do like the
Just
theory or
avoid
like
super
confirmed
dark
fact
or
that
super
Gengar and
saturated
Clefable are
colors
each
and
other's
stuff
shadows. That's
generally
kind of
looks okay,
neat.
but
I like that.
Navigating around peach and cream and white and pink and whatnot, it's just tricky for some reason.
Look, if any Pokemon was
but I
going to get
did finally
retconned to be
land
fairy
on
type,
these
Clefairy
appropriate
made the most sense.
Alright, enough rambling. Here is the start to the fairy type line. Little Helfoof, the helper Pokemon. This
Cute
tiny
name.
equine Pokemon isn't
Like how
particularly
it goes
capable,
horse colors.
but just loves to assist others with whatever they may need. Helfoof can be observed in the wild protecting Dodoy, but unfortunately, the bird
I can imagine
Pokemon
like the
hunts
gang
Helfoof
running
as
across
soon
thing
as
and be
they
like,
evolve.
oh look!
This
Like
fairy
to see
type
from
is
behind,
often
look,
too
it's a
helpful for
Clefairy!
its own good,
Helfoof.
and its
He like
ability
it turns
is
around.
Cute Charm. So that means when it's hit, there's a chance that it will infatuate the
Well, at least it isn't Serene
The name
Grace.
is silly.
That
and
said,
I like it.
infatuation is still one that's always going to be annoying. Just because you can go through confusion, paralysis, all that stuff. Attraction, I swear, has a 100% chance of working.
So this Pokemon's name is the opposite. Instead of being said separate, like Help Hoof, you have to say it all together, like Helfoof.
Okay.
It's kind of tough to say, and I like it that way. Okay, let's
You're
keep
a Pokemon
rolling
man.
along then. The next important comment came from Zach Hubert. He did an amazing job helping me narrow down my focus on what animals we could be using. That's where the Chalacatheris came from, along with some sprinkles of Entelodonts and Paraceratherium.
Inteleons? That's already a Pokemon.
But
I'm
for
kidding.
now, it's all about that horse abomination. I just love how strange these things look, and we're going to be leaning into its big, goofy arms.
It is a weird looking thing. It's just like, that existed in real life. That's not a fantasy creature. That's real.
Hugs. Now, I already had a Nurse Joy Pokemon in mind, which we just haven't gotten to yet in the region. But they're
not getting a Clefairy / Autonome? Alright.
Joy Pokemon, since I think this one fits.
I did like it when the
well.
games actually included,
Anyway,
made the
because it
Nurse
will
Joy
be
look a bit
giving
more like she did in the
therapeutic
anime. I don't know if they gave her a
I
chance
knew
or anything like that, but
it
you
needed to
know,
have some
it's a little
soft fur
references,
on
you
its
know?
arms and belly. The exact
It's not the same
patterning
universe,
took
but it can have
a
some
while to figure
similarities.
out, but I knew that it was going to be important for the theming. I also let the mane and tail get a little more floofy and looking almost like whipped frosting. Not that this Pokemon is food related,
Nope.
but just that it's fun because this and its pre-evolution, their shinies look like they're made of chocolate, so it would just be like frosting
So that's
on their
why.
heads.
That's
Anyway,
like
for
flesh-colored
the
eyes
non-shiny
now.
colors,
Well,
I
not
struggled
flesh
again.
colored eyes. I mean, like,
with
human
this design in
eyes is what I meant
particular,
to say.
I found myself fighting the My Little Pony look. I was fine
Damn
giving off that
instincts.
vibe a little, but I didn't want it to be too overt.
So I gave it a
So
cutie
we got
mark.
something that's like a subtle Fluttershy coloring in the end. Anyway,
Hey,
here
that's
is
fine, man.
Helfug, the hugging Pokemon. Hugs from this friendly Pokemon instantly ease
Yay.
stress and fatigue. The fur on their arms and bellies is one of the softest materials discovered. Helfug travel across the Palean region attempting to aid every person and Pokemon they come across. Unfortunately, if they cannot figure out how to assist someone, they resort to just giving
So the last episode
excruciatingly
hated
long
hugs, and this one loves hugs.
Stability
Great.
remains Q-Charm, so chance
The
to
duology
infatuate
of
an attacker.
hugs.
Oh, and yep, it also gets a wonderfully clumsy name, not Help Hug. No, it is Helfug. Yeah, I like that. I like it a lot. Okay,
Sure.
but we're here for a 3-stage evolution, aren't
It's
we?
just really gonna make the
But
frickin'
we happen to have a
nerds
split
go
evolution
crazy. Be
here.
like,
And that's all
how
due
you
to our
pronounce
last
magnifying
and
glass.
most influential comment from John
Oh,
Velez.
jeez.
He suggested that we do a Pokemon based on agriculture and the domestication of the natural
How about you
world.
just have a
So
regular
split
3-stage evolution?
for
Nah, that's
either
boring. We need to
controlling
make it
animals
complicated.
or plants.
Everyone loves
It's so
Hitmontop.
good. Seriously, John, top-notch suggestion. Oh, and we get to pull in inspiration from another existing
The
Pokemon.
tapir?
What? Yeah, John said Psychic would make sense for animal controlling, and there's already a Psychic Pokemon all about hypnotizing and controlling others. Oh, and it just so happens that Chalacatheris
They're gonna make it
is
a drowsy
tangentially
/
related to
hypno,
tapirs,
like
just
ancestor.
like Hypno. And the Snoot let me pull in some slight inspirations from the, very mean, ancient, pig-like Entelodonts. Ooh, I just love it when it all comes together like that. It's
Yeah,
perfection.
it's all falling
I
apart.
knew that it was essentially going to be a mashup of Helfug and Hypno.
It looks like you
but
took,
getting
like,
all the details figured out was harder than I expected.
I mean, it does look kind of like a
the mane
caveman-y
suggests
Hypno.
Hypno's little,
That's
collar
cool.
that he has, while feeling more primal, so that's good. Oh, and I
I like that
ended
it
up
has the
putting some
drowsy nose.
hit
I always like
markings
that
on
little
it to
detail.
reference
I
the
kind
wavy pattern
I don't
on
know.
drowsy. Oh, and the tail. too.
Hypno
The
not
tail
having
does
it,
the
just like it's not the end of the
wiggle
world,
as
but it's
well.
like I kind of like the
Oh,
trunk.
and lastly,
help it stick
getting
out a
the
bit more.
Entelodon's tusks and cheek protrusions help, give it just a little bit more character as well. Yet again, the color palette kicked my butt, especially here.
So
Since
this
it has
Clefairy
the
line turns
mane
into the
and
Hypno
tufts on
line,
its
which
arms,
means they
as
got
soon as it
separated
clocked
at
any
some
color that
point.
was remotely pink or beige. It just looked like
maybe there was some
poor
natural
Pokemon
disaster or
had
something, or
been
just
partially shaved.
some sort of evolution
Not a
of
good
time.
look.
Sort of like
Ended
how
up having
human
to
and
land
monkeys
closer
aren't part
to
of the same
Hypno's
species,
actual
but
colors
there are
than
similarities.
I
But then
had
again, there are also
initially hoped.
similarities between humans
But
and bananas.
by pulling in some of the purples,
I think it's like we're
vein
one
and the
chromosome
markings, it ended up
off
looking
from
pretty
being
good.
a banana.
Oh, and
Or was that dolphins?
not to take
Something
the easy
like
way
that.
out, but I felt like the shiny just had to be the Drowsy and Hypno colors. Alright, here is Hypzy, the domesticating Pokemon.
This is cool.
This Pokemon still wishes to help others, but
Determines what
unfortunately it
move
has
a foe has to
decided that
forewarn.
it
Okay.
knows what is best for others. Hypzy possesses immense psychic powers,
I like the shiny
which allow
colors.
them to mind control
Simple,
people
but
and
I like it.
Pokemon. They are rarely malicious, but can be extremely difficult to train.
I imagine
Hypzy
so.
are the direct ancestors of Drowsy and Hypno, and its
And it's a
ability is
fusion of the name.
forewarn, so that lets it know what moves a foe has. And I really like how this turned
Agreed.
out. I think it's my favorite of the bunch. But
You
you
made
know
like a
what?
fusion
All
of
the
the two, which makes the question: how do they?
Chelacopheres,
So did they
the
like?
Paraceratherium,
Has this work with
and all the
evolution?
other
But don't think
related
about it too hard.
megafauna, they're weird, like really weird. And Hypzy, you know, it's cool, it's super neat, but it's not really representing the real intense strangeness. So for the other half of this split evolution, let's get weird.
It's a Hitmonchan.
Right off the
What
bat,
the
what's
hell?
that on the research page? Yes, that is a watering can.
What are we
Our
doing?
Pokemon, based on the domestication of plants, is going to be partially modeled after a darn watering can.
Why?
And of course, we're pulling in
Oh
the
wait,
Paraceratherium,
of course. The question
along
is
with
actually
the
why
extinct
not?
giant Camelops also. Smushing
Sure.
them all together, we can get a kind of vaguely watering can silhouette. You know, I knew that I wanted to smush the face
I guess
flat, with the idea that it could use.
We have a watering
water
can
jet to
Pokemon.
spray water out of
This.
its nostrils and look just like a
Everything's a
watering can
Pokemon.
head.
Although this thing makes
And
it.
then the
I mean,
tail
it's
could
not
easily
literally a
swoop
watering
up
can,
to
I
mimic
guess.
the handle. But it wasn't until I got to the back that I started drawing a blank. You know, I brought in Camelops's, you know, cameliness to get that big hump in order to help with the silhouette, but I just didn't know what to do with the hump once we had it. Eventually, I gave it a covering of twirling fur. I mean, the swirls were meant to bring in a more watery motif, but I also don't hate that it kind of looks like a shell, which, though completely unrelated, it's fun to kind of reference the massive extinct mega tortoises. Again, I fumbled around with the colors for a bit, but eventually we wound up with Agridrip, the water spout
I'm not
Pokemon.
too big a fan of this design. I can't put my finger on it. I think it's just how flat the head is. I know it's because it's based on a watering can,
Agridrip
but
only eat fruits and seeds, and will patiently water plants and wait for them to grow their food. The water they produce is able to
Personal
refresh
opinion.
any parched vegetation in seconds. They are so attuned with the foliage around them that they have built up an immunity to grass-type attacks.
What?
And there's the ability. We're calling
Green
it Green Thumb, and it is immune to grass-type
neat.
attacks.
Pikachu
It
used
is
Thunderbolt.
strange,
Oh, it's not in
you
this
know, but
region.
I actually kind of like how off-putting it is.
Someone
Oh,
used
and I couldn't
Thunderbolt.
decide how this split evolution should work. I mean, what do you think should determine if your Pokemon domesticates plants or animals? If you have an idea, I would love to hear all about it down in the comments.
Trade evolution. That was a joke.
And there you are, all of our new Fairy-type Pokemon. There are more designs to come
Naturally.
based on your suggestions, but unfortunately, those bonus videos are going to be pushed back a ways. I am very excited to be marrying our very own Professor Ginkgo at the beginning of November, but that also means
The
that
voice
I
actors,
need
of
to
course.
lighten my load a bit leading up to it.
Congratulations.
I'll still be doing the normal episodes on Fridays, but the bonus episodes will need to pick up
Always
after
good to hear people
Aaron
moving
and
up
I
in the
do
world.
that
I hope
learning
everything
thing.
works out well and all that
Alrighty.
jazz. Nothing
A
but the
huge
best.
thank you to everyone who left suggestions, and I'll see you all in the next episode, where we will be starting a legendary side quest.
Oh
See you
boy.
then.
Oh,
Bye.
speak up. Imagine if he's not talking about the voice actors, but literally Professor Ginkgo. It's like, I don't think you can do that. You married your own OC. I mean, then again, there's people who marry themselves, so it's not the weirdest thing I've ever heard of, but it's an honorable mention. But the point is, but he's not doing that, obviously, it's just a joke. He just means the person in real life. So, yeah. He did mention that they were fiancé and all that stuff, but... Moving on, let's talk about the Pokemon. There was an interesting design. It's just... I wonder how we go from these horse-looking things to then, like, a Hipsy and then a watering can. Like, I'm not going to say that every Pokemon evolution makes perfect logical sense. We all know there's some where you're just like, what? But... this is just weird to me. I don't know, the watering can is one where it's like, like, the Hipsy, I guess I could kinda, since tapirs and horses aren't too dissimilar. But the, it kinda just branched off less like a frickin', it was less like a Pokemon evolution, more like a Yu-Gi-Oh! Fusion card, like the old school ones, or hell, even the new school ones. I fuse these two cards look nothing like each other together and get a giant dragon, or a clown riding a dragon, or, you know, just something where just like, what? What does sense make? But, I don't know. I don't mind them being fairy types and all that jazz, or like the evolution. Like, I like the ideas overall. It just like some of it just like, But hey, you know, we got some more fairy type Pokemon. They look cool. In the previous episode, had a lot of really cool stuff we could see. You know, it's not the end of the world. It's something that's just like, I don't know. I feel like at that point, I just stay with the individual stages, just because, you know. Well, I'm not probably not going to use these on anything, but if I did, I'd just be like, this is kind of a, I don't know. Maybe if I was playing them in game, I'd be like, oh cool, this is like Hip Z, or just like this thing. Look, I don't know. This thing is the freaking pre-evolution, because I do genuinely like that idea. The idea that Clefairy and Hip Z were sort of simple, not Clefairy, but you know what I mean. Like, there's some recent, like, there's an ancestor there between the two. That's cool to me. It's just kind of weird, you know. But it's not the end of the world or anything like that. And yeah, we had cool designs, and there was some cool new Pokemon. So yeah, another good episode by Floopy Art. Again, check them out if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next episode. So yeah, cool designs, cool work. Congrats again on getting married. Probably I've already been married by now, but I will see you all next time. Later.